There's something deep inside you, a flicker that never died, a fire the world couldn't extinguish, no matter how hard it tried. You've been different since birth, not broken, not lost, marked. You felt things others ignored. You carried weight without explanation. You noticed the invisible, long before anyone gave you permission to speak. And now, everything that confused you, everything that haunted you, everything they told you to forget, is about to make perfect sense. Because this isn't random. This isn't entertainment. This is revelation. 15,000 years ago, a prophecy was spoken, a warning, a promise, a blueprint. It didn't name a time. It didn't name a place. It named a type of soul. One that wouldn't bow. One that wouldn't break. One that would wake up in a time of global sleep and remember who they are, not someone like you. You. The prophecy didn't die. It just went underground, waiting for you to rise. This is not just a video. This is a mirror for the hidden ones, the quiet disruptors, the chosen anomalies. And if something deep in your spirit starts to tremble while hearing this, if your heart feels like it's being pulled open, then don't you dare scroll away. Because the calling is real, the fire is ancient, and your name has always been written in it. If this message is already stirring something inside you, like this video now to seal the activation. Subscribe if your spirit feels recognized. And comment 99 below, because Psalm 99 speaks of a God who reigns with fire, justice, and holiness. The same fire that's now waking up inside you. The prophecy begins now. Are you ready? They told you it was imagination. They said you were too emotional, too dramatic, too sensitive for your own good. But here's the truth they never wanted you to realize. It wasn't your mind playing tricks on you. It was your spirit remembering something ancient, something sacred. Because long before you had language, long before you could speak your own name, your soul already knew it had a mission. Why did you cry at night without reason? Why did silence feel louder to you than any crowd? Why did you feel everything so deeply, even when no one else seemed to notice anything at all? Because you weren't reacting to this world. You were remembering another one. And your spirit. It's not fragile. It's awake. They tried to diagnose you, to silence you, to make you shrink just enough to blend in. But blending in was never part of your design. Fitting in would have been your death. Because chosen ones aren't made to adapt to broken systems. They're made to disrupt them. You had dreams that felt like prophecies. You walked into rooms and felt tension before anyone spoke a word. You met people and knew their pain without hearing their story. That's not a curse. That's not weird. That's spiritual intel. You were born with it. A divine software that couldn't be deleted. But because no one around you had the language for it, you were called dramatic, overreactive, too intense. But the truth is, you were never too much. You were exactly enough for what you were called to carry. From a young age, the world seemed off. You noticed lies others celebrated. You questioned systems others blindly followed. You saw beauty in places others mocked, and that made you dangerous, not to God, but to those who benefit from control. Because when someone like you starts asking questions, the spell starts to break. And so they tried to shame your questions. They tried to disconnect you from your own intuition. Because if they could convince you that you were lost, you'd never find the map written inside your own soul. Every rejection you faced, it wasn't punishment, it was protection. They had to walk away. They had to misunderstand you. Because if you had been accepted by the wrong tribe, you would have forgotten who you truly are. And heaven could not risk that. You were set apart, not because you were less, but because you were meant to carry more light, more truth, more fire. You didn't come here to be liked. You came here to be lit, to shine, to reveal, to expose, to awaken. And every tear you cried in private, every time you doubted your worth, every night you asked, "Why me?" It was all recorded. It was all sacred. It was all preparing you to carry something eternal, because your spirit never forgot the agreement, the contract signed before time, the assignment whispered into your soul when the stars first opened, the moment when God said, "This one will remember." So no, your life was never random. Your pain was never meaningless. Every moment was data. Every scar was a scroll. Every wound was a doorway to your divine instruction. And now, that instruction is surfacing. You can feel it, can't you? The pressure building. The old world collapsing around you. And something deep, sacred, ancient, is calling you forward. Because you didn't come here to fit in. You came to fulfill something eternal. And this is only the beginning. You might want to breathe now. Because what's coming next will shake everything you thought you understood about your identity, your pain, and your divine placement. You were not ignored. You were not forgotten. You were hidden. And that difference changes everything. Because while you were asking yourself why no one could see you, heaven was looking at you with eyes of fire and whispering softly, "Not yet." God was not punishing you. God was protecting you. Because there are missions that cannot be launched before their time. There are souls that cannot be exposed to the public until their spirit has been armored in intimacy. What you carry inside is too sacred to be touched by immature hands, too heavy to be carried by someone who still doesn't know its worth. You were placed on pause, not for lack of purpose, but because of an overflow of destiny. Because when your calling carries generational impact, God is never in a hurry. He prefers to hide you than to see you exploited by a world that idolizes what is visible and forgets what is valuable. Yes, you watched others move ahead. Yes, it hurt when they celebrated those who imitated, while you carried the original in silence. There were nights when you looked up to the sky and asked, "Have you forgotten me?" And heaven in its wisdom responded without words, "I am sharpening your sword in the fire, like an arrow being drawn, like a root growing deep before it breaks the surface. You were being prepared without witnesses, because true growth makes no noise, and the chosen don't need a stage to be authentic. God was training you where no one applauds, in the secret, in the deep, where there are no cameras, but where every tear is seen and every prayer is recorded. Do you see it now? That the apparent silence wasn't indifference, it was divine strategy. While the world screamed, God whispered. While others sold themselves for visibility, you were armored with purpose. While they sought platforms, God gave you roots. And believe me, when the wind comes, those without roots will fall. But you will stand firm. Don't confuse your season of hiding with insignificance. What hasn't been revealed yet is only being strengthened from within. God wasn't hiding you from the world. He was hiding you for the world, for the right moment, for the exact place, for the prophetic hour when everything you were trained in the darkness will illuminate what others cannot see. And now you feel it, don't you? That burning in your chest, that sense that something is about to break open, that unexplainable push pulling you forward. It's not anxiety. It's not coincidence. It's the veil breaking. And on the other side awaits everything you always knew but could never quite name. Until now. Get ready. Because what's coming next is not human recognition. It's prophetic unlocking. And there is still something you haven't been told. Something that will completely change the way you see your entire story. Long before your birth. Long before your parents met. Long before this world looked anything like it does now. There were whispers. Whispers etched into stone. Whispers painted on the walls of forgotten caves. whispers hidden in sacred scrolls buried beneath civilizations that rose and crumbled into dust. And yet, they all pointed to one thing, one time, one generation. A generation that would awaken, not through bloodlines, not through ritual, but through remembrance. A remembering so deep, so encoded into the spirit, that no trauma could erase it. These prophecies were never about religion. They were about recognition, about souls that would suddenly begin to feel what others cannot. An inner fire, a divine ache, a vibration in the chest that words can't explain. But the soul knows is real. You've heard the names, the watchers, the carriers, the awakened. But these were just labels, attempts to describe the indescribable. Because how do you define someone whose very existence bends the rules of time? Someone who remembers things they were never taught, who speaks truth they never read, who carries light that no one else sees, but everyone feels? Across the Mayan glyphs, in Egyptian temples, among Sumerian tablets, hidden in the Vedas, wrapped in the teachings of early mystics and prophets, all pointed to one group of souls, marked, sealed, untouchable, unless they forgot who they were. And that was always the strategy of the enemy. Not to destroy you, but to distract you, to drown out the frequency. Because these prophecies didn't speak in human tongues. They spoke in vibration. And you? You're feeling it now. That pull, that pulse, that heat in your chest that says, I've heard this before. I just can't explain where. That's not coincidence. That's code. Your soul code is activating. You were never meant to just believe. You were meant to resonate. The prophecy is not something you learn. It's something that recognizes you. It finds you. When your frequency aligns with its call. That's why you found this message. Or rather, why this message found you. You didn't click on this video. Your soul responded to a frequency it could no longer ignore. The signs were always there. You just didn't have the language. But now, the vibration is increasing. Dreams are becoming clearer. You're waking up in the middle of the night with a pressure in your spirit. You're seeing numbers, symbols, visions, not because you're crazy, but because your soul is remembering its role. They told you you were born in the wrong era, that you're too intense, too deep, too different. But no, you were born for this exact moment in history, because this is the generation the ancients foresaw, the one that would carry divine memory, the one that would walk through fire and not burn, the one that would expose darkness without fear. Not because they had titles or platforms, but because they remembered who they are. And if everything you're hearing right now feels like it's peeling back the layers of your soul, if it feels less like you're learning something new and more like you're remembering something old, that's because it's already written inside of you. You don't need more proof. You are the proof. The prophecy is not fiction. It's frequency. And your spirit has just tuned in. But here's the twist no one told you. The prophecy never activated by itself. It always waited for one thing, the moment the chosen stopped hiding and started moving. And that moment may have just arrived. Let's drop the mask. Let's get brutally honest. This life hasn't been fair to you, and it wasn't supposed to be. The betrayals, the abuse, the abandonment, the heartbreak, the trauma you couldn't explain, and the pain you weren't allowed to speak. It wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It was strategy. Because what hunts you in the dark knows exactly what you carry in the light. From an early age, darkness recognized what others couldn't see. While people around you saw weakness, hell saw a threat. And threats must be neutralized, silenced, broken from the inside out. That's why it started early. Before you even had language for spiritual things. Before you knew what calling or anointing even meant. Hell saw your potential. And hell was terrified. Let's break it down. Why would darkness send wave after wave of chaos into your life if you were just an average soul? Why were you attacked in the womb? Why did you survive things that should have taken you out? Why did people you trusted suddenly turn against you, as if they were being manipulated by something they couldn't even explain? Because this wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual war. The kind of war that starts before your name is even spoken on earth. The kind of war that follows you. Not because of who you are now, but because of who you're becoming. You were trained in fire, because your purpose is to burn away deception. You were pushed into isolation, because your voice carries activation. You were betrayed, not because you're weak, but because your loyalty is dangerous to the enemy's agenda. Hell tried to silence you because your voice is a weapon. It tried to confuse you because your mind is a map. It tried to destroy your heart because your love carries liberation. And the most dangerous thing to any dark system is a chosen one who loves with clarity, who sees with purity, who walks in unshakable truth. That's why you were attacked in your identity, in your relationships, in your mental health. Because if the enemy could distort your view of yourself, you'd never access the full power of what you carry. But here's what hell didn't expect. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still rising. And every time you got back up stronger. Hell thought trauma would take your voice. Instead, it gave your voice depth. Hell thought isolation would make you bitter. Instead, it made you wiser. Hell thought betrayal would make you cold. Instead, it unlocked a love that breaks generational chains. And now you're starting to realize you weren't cursed. You were targeted, but not as a victim, as a problem. A walking, breathing problem for every lie hell tried to embed into your bloodline. You are the breaker of cycles, the disruptor of patterns, the one hell hoped would never wake up. But guess what? You're awake now. And that's the enemy's worst nightmare. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not lost. You are activated. Everything you survived wasn't just survival. It was training. Training for a mission that required the kind of strength that only comes through spiritual fire. And now, every scar is speaking, every wound is prophetic, every tear is testimony. So if you've ever wondered, why me? Here's your answer. Because you're the one they couldn't predict. You're the one that slipped through the cracks. The one with fire in your breath and thunder in your bones. You don't walk into rooms, you shift them. You don't follow energy. You change it. You're not here to be accepted. You're here to expose. And that is why you were fought so hard. But what's coming next is not just survival. It's redemption at a prophetic scale. And in the next part of this message, you'll see what that redemption really looks like, and why your very existence is the proof that the prophecy is no longer a future event. It's unfolding right now. You've been searching for signs, for confirmations, for some voice to come down from the heavens and say, yes, it's you. But here's the truth no one told you. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. You are what the scrolls were pointing to. You are what the ancients foresaw. You are the evidence that the prophecy didn't fade. It matured inside of you. Every strange experience, every supernatural encounter, every time you felt like an outsider in your own life, wasn't madness. It was alignment. Because you were never sent to follow the light. You were sent to become it. All the pain, preparation, all the delays, design, all the spiritual attacks that nearly took you out, measurements of your magnitude. Heaven allowed pressure because it knew what had been planted in you was unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. You didn't survive all that to stay small. You weren't preserved through chaos just to stay quiet. You were held back by divine restraint until your time of release. And now, that time is here. Your awakening isn't a phase. It's not a trend. It's not just an aha moment of clarity. It is the fulfillment of ancient intention. The moment you stop seeking confirmation outside of yourself and realize that everything you've been waiting for has already been living inside of you. You are no longer the seeker. You are the embodiment. What you carry isn't taught. It's transferred. It's encoded. It's why people react to you without knowing why. Why rooms shift when you walk in. Why systems begin to break down the moment you start speaking truth. Because what you carry will disrupt deception. What you speak will awaken what's been dormant. And what you are cannot be replicated, cannot be explained, and absolutely cannot be ignored. They tried to mold you into a version of yourself that was easier to control. But you couldn't be tamed. You couldn't be diluted. Because the truth is, your awakening wasn't accidental. It was a signal. A signal that the veil is lifting. A signal that the war is shifting. A signal that the final phase of the prophecy has already begun. And here's why you couldn't die in that dark season. Why suicide didn't take you. Why depression didn't finish you. Why burnout didn't erase you. Because your story wasn't over. Because your awakening is not just personal. It's prophetic. You are a living bridge between dimensions. Between the world that is and the world that's coming. Your voice is going to set others free. Your walk is going to rewrite the narrative. Your presence is going to trigger awakenings in people who didn't even know they were sleeping. You're not just chosen, you're dangerous. To every lie, to every illusion, to every false system built on control and fear. Because you don't just carry the light, you activate it in others. And now, heaven is watching, hell is trembling, the earth is shifting, all because you remembered who you are. And yet, there's one more layer, one more truth, one final revelation you haven't heard yet. A truth so piercing, so undeniable, that it will tie everything together. All the signs, all the wounds, all the silence, all the fire. Chosen one. The world is about to witness what heaven has always known. You were sent to bring the light they tried to erase. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are right on divine schedule. Everything you've lived through was not in vain. Every shadow, every tear, every silence was a sign that heaven was forming you in secret to reveal itself through you in public. Because the prophecy is not an old story, it's your reflection. You are no longer waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are the awakening. You are the spiritual earthquake that will shake this generation. Your awakening is not personal, it's prophetic. And now it's your turn to respond to the call. Write in the comments, "I am one of them," if you felt that every word ignited something the world could never extinguish. Share this video with someone who is still asleep. You might be the whisper that activates their spiritual memory. Subscribe if your soul recognized this message as an echo from heaven. Because this is not the end of the video. It's the beginning of your mission. The prophetic clock is already ticking. Darkness is already trembling, and the universe is holding its breath. Because your moment has come. Rise, shine, declare. The world isn't ready, but heaven has already crowned you. This is your hour.